we have to start with Essendon. This is a side that played finals last year. They had some momentum going into that final series, and all of a sudden now they're languishing. They're keeping company, as I said, with North Melbourne, who we know where they're at, and a West Coast Eagles side that have just hit a wall, or hit an oncoming train, in actual fact. That's how bad it's been. So I want you to have a listen to Ben Rutten. I don't think there's much he can do as a coach on the back of, you know, the one-win start that they've had to the season. Then this is what he had to say post-game after their disappointing loss to the Western Bulldogs.
We're not where we want to be and where we need to be at the moment. And that's our biggest priority, is getting back to playing a more consistent brand of footy. And I'm sure that's consistent, you know, more broadly with our supporters and with our fans that come and watch us play. You know, we want to create a more consistent, dependable brand and style of footy.
Well, they're anything but consistent and dependable. So, all day today, it is what has gone wrong. So you two guys you've got the responsibility. Where is it from an Essendon point of view? If you're a supporter sitting at home what they watch on the couch, they want answers to their side who they finished 2021. They thought we've made the finals. Ben Rutten's put his stamp on this side. It's upwards, and now they've got one win of the season.
Well, I think the disappointment and the frustration of Essendon people, that comes from the expectation coming into the season, where they play finals last year or automatically, and this is what we do in footy, we think, well, they'll be there again. They've got a great group of young kids. They'll go another step further this year with organic growth, and it's not that simple. So from a long-term point of view, I don't have the same level of concern with Essendon at the moment, because I can see a future for them. We have a lot of positives when we talk about Essendon in terms of their young players. So you go through like Cox, Perkins, Ridley, Martin, Caldwell. They're all going to be great players. But clearly there's a disconnect at the moment on the back of their system and their spirit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I agree with you. Coming into the season, I had them dropping out of the top 8, guys. Just here, look at the opponents last year. With the greatest respect to the teams in the bottom outside the 8, they didn't beat anyone, apart from the Western Bulldogs, who end up a few weeks later smashing them in that first final. So you have a look at the teams they beat. They beat 15th, 18th, 5th, who was the Bulldogs, 16th and 17th to finish the season. So we got caught up in... Did we get caught up in the hype of the Essendon machine? Oh, they've come home with a wet sail. They come flying into the finals and then they get rolled by 49 points by the Western Bulldogs. So have a look at this year's comparison or contrast. You have a look at the opponents, and it's a lot different. So, you know, they're starting to play teams up the top end of the ladder and they just haven't coped. Obviously, they've only had the one win, and probably Adelaide, they'll probably lucky to get away with the win against Adelaide. So let's just set that. That's just where the mark is.
Everything's good in the world.
No.
You're extraordinarily forgiving, both of you, for a team who are in amongst North Melbourne and West Coast.
Right. So long term, absolutely still think Essendon are on the right track long term. Right now, it's a disaster for them.
Right.
So I think they got there before their time last year. They won games that they should have won on the run home. Yeah, they got hot and they were playing some good footy, and you know, I'm not sure many sides wanted to play them. But I think they got there before their time. Right now, I just think they're an average team. I actually don't think they're a very good team, and there are reasons for that. So there are reasons they're here as opposed to up here where the expectation was coming into the season. And that's where the frustration lies at the moment for Essendon people. So what has happened to the system and the flair that they played with at the end of last year? Because they were as damaging as anyone with the football. Personnel hasn't changed. In fact, it's probably gotten a little bit better. Caldwell's into the side. The young players are another year older. It looks to me like they've got a stat-happy, can you say selfish midfield that want to get lots of the footy? Is that who they are, or is that by design, Gaz?
Well, this number here is of grave concern, because your eye tells you they don't want to go forward. For whatever reason, they go sideways, they crab sideways, they don't want to push forward. You've got Peter Wright sitting there. Yep. I know he's not Wayne Carey, I understand that, but he's shown the ability to take over a game against a defence that have given up, you know, goals, one-on-one goals. Yep. Ryan Gardner's getting better, but there's an opportunity there. They wouldn't go forward.
That's right. Which is why you look at it and you think these blokes are just more concerned with pumping their stats up.
Or are they told to go slow?
Well, I don't know. That it has to come back to the coach.
That would surprise.
That has to fall on the coach, because either the players aren't adhering to the game style, in which case hold them accountable, or that is the game style, and it's broken.
Yeah. Seems to be a big 180, dramatic turn, Gaz, because when Ben Rutten came over from Richmond, Blake Carousel as well, they wanted to play that forward football. We often put that stat up, metres gained by handball, which Richmond were fantastic. Essendon started to be really good at that. So it seems like it would be a change in game style if they are starting to crab sideways in handball, because they were a positive team.
Gun shy? Maybe copped a couple of heavy defeats early in the piece and maybe challenged them. And, there was no stringer early. There's merit misses, a series of games from a leadership point of view. Who's driving that standard? Yeah,
for me, that stands up. So I look at a team and I go, right, who's the generals? And granted, they're a younger side. I get that. But you can see general qualities in younger players, no doubt about it. So I think McGrath's shown that at periods. The rest of it, I would look, I think there's a dearth of leadership there, OK? So let's hopefully it's just the youth and we haven't been able to identify it yet, Gaz. So that's a concern for me. They've been rolled, they've had good starts against teams. And the other thing is too, the extremities. You've spoken about Peter Wright, and I know you were mucking around comparing him to Wayne Carey. Peter Wright's been a good improvement for Essendon. What about the key defenders? So when I look at that team, good young midfield, where's the Alex Rance and where's the Jack Riewoldt at either end? That's my concern going forward. Stringer's not that type of player. Played some good football last year in the midfield. I'm talking about your big, dominant, key position player at either end of the football field. Are they on the list, Gaz, going forward?
Fremantle don't have a Jack Riewoldt or an Alex Rance.
Well, Taberner does a good job of it, though. And Lob's been very good.
Yeah, but they're not superstars.
Yeah,
so I understand your concerns around personnel, but it can be done without it. And I think Freo are the proof that if you're playing with a good system and with a spirit, and this brings us to the Dylan Shield conversation around accountability, integrity of selection, and being held captive to talent. So when you make the statement, which when it happened last week, I thought you beauty Ben Rutten. This is a great signal to the rest of the group. I am not, as a coach, going to be held captive by talent. And the next thing you know, he's running around in the Essendon jumper, getting changed alongside his teammates, as opposed to going back to the VFL.
So do you think that sends a mixed message?
Totally.
To the playing group?
To the playing group, to Dylan Shield, to...
so cut and cut hard.
Cut and cut hard. Execute one to educate 1,000. We did it, Ross Lyon did it in 2008 with 2 All-Australian players in Stephen Milne and Nick Dalsano, and that was the turning point for our group.
It's an interesting situation they find themselves in. They're young on the weekend. They've got players that haven't been able to produce what they've been able to produce last year. Onus on players, onus on coaching group. The big watch going forward.